Once upon a time, there was a legend that said that God visits each of us once in our lifetime. He can come in any form, be it a drenched kitten, an old man, or a beggar. And our fate depends on how we behave during such encounters. There is also a fable about a man who had 3 dreams: to have a good job with a high salary, to marry a beautiful and kind girl, and to become famous all over the world. Many stories happened to him throughout his life, but we will tell you about 3 of them. On a cold winter morning, the young man hurried to an interview at a well-known company. He had 5 minutes left until the meeting, and he still needed to run a block. Suddenly, an elderly man slipped and fell right in front of him. Our hero looked at the man, decided that he was drunk, and without offering a hand, ran on. Fortunately, he made it to the interview on time. Unfortunately, he didn't get the job of his dreams. On a warm summer evening, the man was strolling through the city. He noticed a group of street performers and stopped to enjoy the show. There were few spectators, but the play was funny and captivating. After the performance, there was applause, and people began to disperse. Our hero was about to turn back, but someone timidly touched his shoulder. It was the main character of the play, an old clown lady. She began to ask him if he liked the show, if he was satisfied with the actors. But the man did not want to talk, and turning away in disgust, went home. On a rainy autumn evening, the man was in a hurry to get home from his friend's birthday party. The day was tough, and he dreamed of taking a bath and falling asleep in a warm, soft bed. Suddenly, he heard muffled sobbing. A woman was sitting on a bench outside his house. She was alone without an umbrella, and only the hood of her light jacket saved her from the cold rain. Seeing our hero, she turned to him for help. She had a family tragedy and only needed a sympathetic ear. The man thought for a moment, envisioning a bathtub and a bed, murmured that he was terribly busy, and hurried into the entrance. The man lived an unhappy life, and he died. Upon arriving in heaven, the man met his guardian angel. "You know, angel, I lived a very unhappy and pointless life. I had 3 dreams, but none of them came true. What a shame. My friend, I did everything I could to make all your dreams come true, but for that, you just needed to extend your hand, open your eyes, and warm your heart. Do you remember the man who fell on the slippery winter road? That man was the CEO of the company you wanted to work for. A brilliant career awaited you. All you had to do was extend your hand. And do you remember the old clown who approached you with questions after the street performance? She was a young beauty, an actress who fell in love with you at first sight. A happy future awaited you. All you had to do was open your eyes. And do you remember the crying woman by your entrance? It was a rainy evening, and she was soaked through from the rain and tears. She was a famous writer, going through a family crisis, and in dire need of emotional support. If you had helped her warm up in your apartment, listened to her, and comforted her, she would have written a book about that experience. The book would have become world famous, and you with it, as the author would have mentioned the name of the person who inspired the work on the front page. All you needed then was a small spark from your heart. You were inattentive, my friend. The man sighed and walked down the moonlit path into the starry distance. Life is full of opportunities, but we often fail to recognize them because we're too busy chasing after what we think we want.